What's already? Welcome back to News Dose, and this really is the year of the handheld. We're starting to see the market ramp up with their own handheld options, and that no longer just means Nintendo. I mean, of course, we have the Steam Deck and a variety of Windows-based handhelds by this point, but now we also have Xbox and even PlayStation. They're not only coming out with their own options that they're currently working on, we've heard a lot about those already, but also Nintendo and Xbox's relationship is about ready to surprise the gaming world. Xbox apparently isn't just set to release a handheld collaboration with Asus later this year, but them and Nintendo also seem to have big plans of their own. So make sure to stay tuned for all of that, as well as an unfortunate surprise from PlayStation. Before we get started, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with a brand new game from none other than the horror house that is Bloober Team. Coming off of last year's Silent Hill 2, they now have some legitimate momentum behind them, and as they said last year, they're done with making bad games. Well, they're going to have their chance to prove that in 2025 because Cronos: The New Dawn was just revealed with some new gameplay, and even better here is that it's planned to release this year. So we don't have to wait all that long. Now, I actually think that this looks pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Dead Space, and really just with the sci-fi horror. What really stands out to me, though, is that I think this looks fairly unique compared to other games within the same genre. One of its main hooks is to not let your enemies merge. They can apparently combine with the dead to make an even stronger foe, and it's just something a little bit different, which is something that I always appreciate. I don't necessarily need a reskin of everything else. I want to see something original, and we're seeing that here. So I like what I'm seeing so far, and that is one of the things here, because it's one thing to make a good remake. Silent Hill 2 was fantastic, and I'm glad a lot of people are now taking them serious, but at the same time, it's still a whole different thing to make a good new IP. That's a different type of challenge, but what I will say here is that Cronos: The New Dawn has some true potential based on this gameplay, and it certainly has my attention. Okay, now we also got a new controller reveal from Xbox, and you can say what you want about their brand and just how they push out their games, but I don't care who you are, you have to admit, they make some excellent design controllers, and my goodness, they did it once again. Check this thing out. This is the new Doom: The Dark Ages controller. It's set for an April 25th release if you order it from the Microsoft Store, or April 30th from other retailers, or at least from what I can see. You can pre-order it right now for $80, or you can get the Elite option for $200. I mean, the attention to detail here, though, is just absolutely extraordinary. And just to kind of drive my point home here, I'm going to compare this to, in my opinion, the lackluster design that PlayStation recently shoveled out, being their The Last of Us Limited Edition controller. And this isn't a console war thing, this is my honest opinion, but I say all that because that controller, for as poorly designed as I think it is actually set at an even higher price, being $85. So, in my opinion, I'd say the Doom $80 asking price is good for what you're going to get compared to other options on the market, just because I think this design goes a long way in actually making it seem like a lot of love and care and passion went into its design. For that matter, I mean, as long as you take care of it, the prices for these ultra-premium Xbox Limited Edition controllers tend to go up in price over time because collectors are always looking for good showpieces to add to their collection. Now, they also revealed a new Doom wrap for the Xbox Series X, and that will go for $55. And I will say firsthand that these wraps are actually pretty well made and truly transform your Xbox and how it looks. So if anything, I think it's a much better option than what we used to get, where these companies used to sell a limited edition console for $500+. Now, speaking of Xbox, though, Phil Spencer, the Xboss himself, had a lot to say, as he typically does in his interviews. And in fact, I might even touch up on that a little bit more in future episodes, but the big thing that everybody is currently talking about right now is his vowed support for the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, we're still in that phase where some people are just truly shocked by their third-party support, but I mean, it's happening, and it's happening fast. They went from 4 games to now we just want to be everywhere, and you can look at that however you want. Some people believe it's a good idea, while other people believe that it's a bad idea because, they still need to sell consoles where a large portion of their Xbox Game Pass subscribers are. But at the same time, I'd argue that Nintendo is a very unique situation for the game industry. It's almost kind of a strange thing to say this, but Nintendo has somehow managed to find a way to be the best-selling console and still be friends with pretty much everybody. I mean, here you have Sony and Xbox, and historically they just hate each other. Now, Xbox has kind of backed away from that competition here in the past few years, but Sony, on the other hand, they still hate Xbox. Lego Horizon, Patapon 1 and 2 HD, Hot Shot Golf, and Freedom Wars are all games that are skipping Xbox but were announced for Nintendo. So again, Nintendo has weirdly found a way to be everybody's friend, albeit they are also pummeling the competition at the same time. And I think a part of that is because Nintendo has found a way to reach an audience that Sony and Xbox hasn't been able to reach themselves. Nintendo is, yes, competition, but they also target a different demographic all at the same time, if that makes sense. Back on topic though, Phil Spencer once again vowed support for the Switch 2. He said, and I quote, "We've been supporting Switch 1, I want to support Switch 2. Nintendo has been a great partner. We think it is a unique way for us to reach players who aren't PC players, who aren't players on Xbox. It lets us continue to grow our community of people that care about the franchises that we have, and that's really important for us to make sure we continue to invest in our games. I'm a really big believer in what Nintendo means for this industry and us continuing to support them. And getting the support from them for our franchises, I think, is an important part of our future." And while I am a bit of a skeptic for Xbox's multi-platform strategy and just how they're handling a lot of the uncertainty that's going around, I actually look at this statement and kind of have a hard time disagreeing with it. Like I just said, I think Nintendo has reached an audience that Xbox and Sony have often ignored, so they are in a little bit of a different position. I've talked about the importance of that in the past. Nintendo is, a much more family-friendly option, and when I think about Xbox IP like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and even Banjo as three such examples, I wouldn't be shocked if they were to sell better on Nintendo hardware given their demographic. For that matter, their support for Nintendo could actually be a legitimate reason to make a brand new Banjo game, which I am all for. And if you're an Xbox fan, that's kind of how I would look at this situation. The silver lining is that this could potentially be a way for them to revive some of their dormant IP with more confidence. Either which way, though, based on past information, and especially with this new statement here, I would absolutely expect a lot of Xbox support for the Switch 2. And not just with family-friendly content either. I'm talking about games like Doom: The Dark Ages and the upcoming Oblivion remaster. Bethesda has been a big supporter of Nintendo in the past, and I think that will continue onward. As far as Xbox IP, though, maybe the Halo collection? That would be a groundbreaking moment for gaming history, maybe a bit of an emotional moment for gaming history, but it could be a way to introduce Nintendo fans to the Halo franchise. So when they may eventually make Halo 6, whether that's on Nintendo or not, they might be interested. Either way, I could see all of these games easily being on the Switch 2, and we could start to get some official announcements as early as the Xbox Showcase this June. Let me know what you think about all this, though. I know these topics can be somewhat divisive at times, so I want to hear your opinion in the comments below. Now, one more thing. We talked about Xbox and we talked about Nintendo, so we might as well just go ahead and finish the video by talking about PlayStation. However, this isn't really good news. Unfortunately, we have yet another price hike to talk about. This has been just such a bizarre generation. Whatever the case may be, though, last week Sony upped the price for the PlayStation 5 in a few different regions, and today they expanded that even further by raising the price for PlayStation Plus in Canada. And some of these increases are a bit shocking, to say the least. The one-year option for the Essential Package will now be 110 Canadian dollars, a $15 increase, but then the Extra plan is going up to $190, which is a $35 increase. And then lastly, the premium option will now be $225 a year, which is also a $35 increase. So these are not just small increases across the board. Now, I've seen speculation that this could be to monetize the tariff situation. I've also seen theories that this is because the subscription model just isn't sustainable with the amount of games that they put into the service. But no matter how you look at this situation, PlayStation Plus just got even less attractive in Canada. And truth be told, I've never really viewed PlayStation Plus as a super attractive option in the first place. If you want to play a bunch of old games, then okay, sure, PlayStation Plus will give you access to a lot of games. But my problem with this specific service has always been the same thing. it doesn't have enough new content to justify its high asking price. What I will say though, and this goes for Xbox as well, the prices for these subscriptions is just yet another reason that more gamers are looking towards PC, a place where you can actually play multiplayer games without the need to pay for online multiplayer. Last month, I kind of ran into that problem. My friend and I were forced to pay for PlayStation Plus just so we could play Split Fiction together, and it's just frustrating. One of the attractive things about console gaming, or it used to be, is the price point. But we're now kind of getting into that territory where console gaming is getting fairly expensive, especially when you start to factor in these forced multiplayer subscriptions that just keeps increasing. I mean, it is what it is by this point, but not necessarily a great look now or for the future of console gaming. Anyways, though, that's going to be this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.